Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have John on a Paradoxical Outcome deck. It's actually more of a Storm build, very fast, very explosive, versus Matthew on Shops. And John on the play is going to open up with Lotus and Jet and Chrome Mox. Now, Shops is not going to have anything to say about this on game one. Like Ancestral Recall about to be fired off. Merchant Scroll, the card that was imprinted on Chrome Mox. Sorry, not Ancestral, he pondered first. Ancestral resolves into Mana Crypt. Now he's still got 2 blue mana floating. And will we see the first Paradoxical Outcome? No, it's a Time Twister. He actually does need to keep track of Storm. He runs Mind's Desire and Tendrils. Past a lethal Storm count, still very possible that the Storm count will matter as Tendrils of Agony, as Mind's Desire. Allow for some very explosive plays. Now he still has a blue mana floating. Jet, Emerald, and a fetch land. And Time Walk. So Shop's going to be another turn with no interaction. John declining to fetch, hoping to draw. Oh no, he is going to fetch. Let's see what he does with the mana. Taking damage off of that Mana Crypt. Matthew ahead on life, but definitely not feeling like he's winning. Facing down 6 mana on the other side of the board. Looks like, are we launching with the Paradoxical Outcome? We are. 4 mana, 4 artifacts. Actually going to be netting mana off of this. Grim Monolith coming down. You can tell it's past bedtime in my house. Catching up on videos. Demonic Tutor here. Almost certainly do it. Storm's already 7. Another Paradoxical Outcome. Matthew, the one bonus here, he didn't have to reveal what he was playing. Inker going on there. And Mind's Desire, so pretty reasonable to have kept track of Storm. As it turns out, actually going to be flipping off of Mind's Desire here for 16. 4, 5, 6, 15. And we've got a Vampiric Tutor and a Windfall. So that'll do it. He'll be able to just vamp and then Windfall into it. See if that's the line that he takes. He could also vamp and Paradoxical into it. He's got options. And Yogg will, and that would actually allow for a Mind's Desire that would flip the entire rest of the deck. So John earning that game 1 without actually seeing anything from Matthew's shops list at all. But a little bit difficult to sideboard. We'll see if he knows what Matt is on. Of course, Matthew knows exactly what he wants to be doing here. He wants a hand that's going to be disruptive on the first turn. You do not want an aggro hand versus a deck like John's. Doesn't matter how many Arcbound Ravagers and Steel Overseers you can get out there. If you don't have something like Thorn of Amethyst, Sphere Resistance, Lodestone Golems, something that's going to stop John from just going completely bonkers. Chalice of the Void, one of the strongest cards against John. Chalice at 0, shutting off so much of the deck. But of course, that card is restricted as well now. For those of you who mostly play Legacy, there are a bunch of lock pieces that are actually restricted in Vintage, and that's because of the power of Mishra's Workshop, which we may get to see on this game now that John is on the play. Workshop taps for 3 of any 3 colorless mana that can only be used to cast artifacts. That allows cards like Trinisphere, very often Lodestone Golem, Chalice at 1. So many powerful plays on the first turn, consistently working with more than 1 mana. The blue decks have the ability to filter and control the quality of cards throughout the game. The Workshop decks are more about raw power and have currently morphed into a more aggressive shell. In the past, they've been very defensive with a lot of lock pieces, cards like Tanglewire that will kind of slow down the opponent, cards like Smokestack, which will devour their resources as time goes on, really drag the game out and drown them in the deep end of the pool. Now, Workshops is really all about those aggressive creatures. Arcbound Ravager, Steel Overseer, Hangerback Walker sees a lot of play. Walking Ballista combos very well with the Arcbound Ravager to create a massive game-ending effect. And there we go. First turn, Trinisphere, one of the stronger openings that Matthew could have, and that gets Force of Willed. And John now has his turn to play, and Soul Ring going to give him a nice mana boost here. Thorn of Amethyst. We'll see if he'll be able to play around and a Sphere. So double Sphere. See if John can play through this much hate. Urkel's Recall becoming extremely powerful as a sideboard answer to Workshops. In the past, cards like Ancient Grudge were really quite solid, but at this point, really Urkel's Recall has become the card of choice versus the Workshop decks, just because it can clear all of those artifacts off the board for 1 game-ending turn. And here we have Revoker and Metamorph. So Soul Ring being shut off, and Metamorph being Thorn of Amethyst. All non-creature spells are going to cost 3 more to play now. Interesting that Matthew chose the Thorn. In theory, that's going to hurt him less. However, John does potentially have a Monastery Mentor in his deck. Difficult to tell It is a possible card. He may have seen enough in the previous game to be confident that John is on a Tendrils only build, and probably would have been wise to not scoop to that Mind's Desire, the Ogwill, the previous game. He would have been able to see a lot of John's deck and may have realized that the Sphere of Resistance is better or worse based off of that information, but we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't get caught off guard by a Monastery Mentor. That would be quite bad. Foundry Inspector on the other side there. And that is going to negate the Sphere of Resistance. It means all of Matthew's cards now that are creatures are going to cost 0 additional mana. And yet every single spell in John's deck, with perhaps the exception of a Mentor, if he even runs it, all costs 3 more. So this is a very unbalanced game state. John's also losing 5 at a time. And here we go, Walking Ballista, turning this into a 1-turn opening. So exact lethal presented on board. Tracking that fetch or not doesn't really matter. And John's still just in terrible shape here. Even a Hurkyl's Recall isn't going to be enough. Now he could Hurkyl's to stay alive, but Matthew would still have 7 mana at his disposal to redeploy his resources. There's a Hurkyl's. So he's actually going to go ahead and throw this out main phase. He's got some more mana. Oh, and his last card is Time Twister. Unbelievable turn of events for John here. Tremendous, and that's exactly why Hurkyl's is so good. Getting rid of all of the artifacts from Matthew back into his hand. And now John is going to have a fresh 7. He has not played a land for turn, and he's got Lotus Petal up. What a massive, massive turn here. It looked like he was going to have to pass the turn. But he had a Time Twister to play afterwards and draws into Lotus. And it looks like he's just going to be off to the races here. Chrome Mox for no value. Got 2 cards in hand. Shuffling them around. You got to figure out what his line is here. What does he have? Looks like a Merchant Scroll. That will draw a significant amount of cards here. Lotus would need to go. Here we go, Merchant Scroll, Storm 8. Paradoxical Outcome. And tons of artifacts coming down, and it looks like he's got a Tinker and a Yogwill in hand. This is going to be over fairly soon. John firmly in the driver's seat here. He just needs to navigate his way through these card choices. Chrome Mox at this point just drawing extra cards. Hurkyl's now a likely candidate to get imprinted. He's so far ahead. Looks like he's actually going to spend a blue to Ancestral. Should do it here. I see a Tendrils in hand. One more time, paradoxical outcome. Don't believe that's necessary at all. There's the Tendrils. So John taking it down on the brink, showing just how powerful Hurkyl's Recall is.
That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.